In this video, we're looking at the top 10 greatest chess moves of all time. At number 10, Grandmaster Kolmov had a tough-looking position against the legendary Grandmaster David Bronstein. After Bronstein's 17 Queen e7, with the knight on c3 attacked, and black one move away from consolidation with 18 Bishop b7, Kolmov needed to find something quickly. Luckily for the chess world, he found an amazing combination. Knight c6, a fantastic move that begins the combination. Black's queen is under attack, but moving it loses the dark squared bishop, not to mention checkmate. So black must play knight takes c6, but e5, the second blow in the combination, attacking the bishop on f6 and freeing up the e4 square for the c3 knight. If knight takes e5, knight e4 threatening the dark square bishop. Knight g6 tries to hang on, but knight takes bishop, queen takes knight, and pawn takes knight leaves a large advantage for white. If instead black tries 19, bishop takes e5, white has f6, threatening mate on g7. You can't take with the queen since white would have a checkmate in 1, so bishop takes f6, and bishop d3 threatening mate on h7. Bishop g5 check is forced, and white can just take with the rook. After f6 and rook g3, white has a powerful attack. In the game, bishop g5 check was played, an error, but nothing black has at this point would be adequate. After rook takes g5, white went on to win in convincing fashion. Number 9 is the first endgame position on this list. Black is winning in the following position, but the path forward is unclear. Black's bishop is a tall pawn at the moment, and black's pawn structure is more than shattered. In this position, black uncorked a brilliant rook sacrifice with 31 rook takes b2. It takes Stockfish extra time to realize that this wild move is completely winning for black. The passed pawns on the c-file can't be stopped. Not accepting the rook leads to the loss of the a-pawn or a promotion, so knight takes b2, followed by c3, and the c-pawns are moving quickly. Rook takes b6, the best try. White will happily give the knight back for the dangerous passed pawn on c3. If 33 a takes b6 or 33 c2 is played, then white has knight d3, eyeballing the queening square. But instead, c4. Now, take this in for a second. Black is down a rook and a knight for a couple of isolated pawns and doesn't even care about winning back material. Why? Because these pawns can't be stopped. Rook b4, white's last try, because maybe black will allow 34 c2, rook takes c4, c1 is a queen, and then rook takes c1? Not a chance. a5, the final nail in the coffin. Now, rook takes c4, c takes b2 would result in a promotion on the b-file, knight takes c4, c2, and black will queen on the next move. Number 8, Lasker's stunning queen sacrifice. Believe it or not, the former world champion Emanuel Lasker doesn't hold the 8th spot on our list. That's reserved for the international master Edward Lasker, who played a famous game against George Allen Thomas in 1912. The legendary king hunt begins after Thomas's blunder with 10 Queen e7. Lasker has a lead in development, his minor pieces dominate the center, and black's kingside has been weakened. In this position, Lasker found a wonderful queen sacrifice that forces checkmate in 7 moves. Queen takes h7. King takes queen is forced. Now knight takes f6, double check, revealing the bishop on d3. If king h8, then knight g6 is mate, so instead king h6, knight on e to g4 check, king g5, the only move, h4 check, king f4, g3 check, king f3, bishop e2 check, king g2, rook h2 check, king g1, and the black king has been forced all the way down the board. Now there's 2 wins here, queenside castle is checkmate, or simply moving the king out of the way to d2, checkmates with the rook. Number 7, an amazing bishop endgame. This bishop endgame is unique on our list as it's the only study. The position wasn't played between two players, but was composed by Hewacker in 1930. At first glance, this looks like a boring dead equal bishop ending. It feels like black can just move their e-pawn and forever control the queening square with their bishop, leading to a draw. If you show this position to Stockfish, it initially agrees and shows an evaluation of all zeros, dead even. However, it's really white to move and win. If we can find a way to stop that pawn from pushing forward, black can't control the queening square and we would win. The first move isn't terribly difficult to find, bishop a7. Black can't take the bishop since white would run to queen their pawn and black would be too late to stop it. So white's pursuit of the black bishop begins. Bishop a1 and king b1. White again attacks the bishop, which is now running out of squares on the diagonal. Bishop c3 and king c2. Bishop a1 again, now the difference being that the king is on c2 rather than c1. Bishop d4, a mind-bending move. White places their bishop on pre 2 times in a single move. Black is forced to capture the bishop. If black takes with the pawn, king d3, and the pawn is frozen. Black's dark squared bishop remains unable to stop the h-pawn from advancing to the queening square. So instead, bishop takes d4, king d3, the point of the amazing bishop sacrifice. Black can't stop white's promotion. If e4 check, king takes d4 ends the game quickly, as white can stop the black pawn, but the reverse is not true. So bishop a1 again, but this time white has king e4. The white king blockades the e-pawn, accomplishing our goal of locking the poor bishop away from the queening square. White will promote their pawn and go on to win the game. At number 6, we have an amazing desperado sacrifice. Here, Bora was down 2 pawns and his queen and rook were both hanging. Trading queens with rook takes a1, knight takes d4 looks unpleasant, but what else is there? Since white is going to lose some material either way, might as well cause as much mayhem for black as possible. And Bora shows us how with queen h8. The desperado queen sacrifice is actually winning. Forcing the black king to h8 doesn't seem to accomplish much, but it makes all the difference in just 2 moves. King takes h8, rook takes a1, and knight d4, the only move to save the knight. Bishop takes e7, and now the nuance of forcing the king to h8 is clear. White threatens both bishop takes f8 and bishop f6, picking up the knight by checking the black king. Black resigned here as they can't stop both of white's threats. Number 5, Geller's rook and pawn endgame. As black, Geller is up a pawn, but his rook is attacked. White's rook is imprisoned, however. And if white is allowed to take the e5 pawn with check, the rook could escape and stop black's extra pawn on a4. What spectacular move did Geller play to resolve this? King g7. Stockfish originally misses this move completely because at first glance it makes no sense. It looks like it just hangs the rook for nothing. Yet, if white recaptures it, then black can easily promote the a-pawn. But what else do you do? White plays h5, and a3 of course. King takes e4, capturing the rook, but it doesn't matter. a2, this pawn's promotion can't be stopped. Black is winning this position. Number 4, Vladimirov's Thunderbolt. Grandmaster Vladimirov, a world-class player at his peak, was on Kasparov's team in the 1986 World Championship match against Karpov. However, he should best be known for the move he played in 1987, which reached the following position after 25, queen takes b3. Recapturing the queen seems more than logical and would be the likely move of more than 99.9% of players. Stockfish gives c takes b3 as roughly equal, while a takes b3 gives a nice advantage to white. Is there anything better? Could we win material? Sometimes, when the opponent's king is at stake, all else can be neglected, including winning back a queen. Bishop h6. This move strikes black's position like a thunderbolt. Not only did Vladimirov not recapture the queen, but he places his bishop on an undefended square. Yet the threats against black's king are palpable. Knight g4, the best move, this cuts off communication between the white rooks. Rook h7 check, the only good move on the board. Knight takes h6, rook takes h8 check, king takes f7, rook h7 check, and black resigned here in view of king e8, a takes b3, and black will lose another piece. With enough forcing moves against the king and winning all that material, Vladimirov could take the queen when he wanted to. Number 3, Marshall's legendary move. Frank Marshall was known for his brilliant attacks and tactics, and the move he played in this game is definitely his best. Here Marshall had black, and the following position was reached after 25, rook c5. Black is winning and has several moves that can maintain the advantage, but one move is outstanding in this position. Queen g3. This move puts the black queen on pre 3 times in a single move, and wins regardless of white's reply. White resigned on the spot since h takes g3 gives knight e2 mate, f takes g3, knight e2 check, king h1, followed by rook takes f1 mate. If instead queen takes g3, still knight e2 check, king h1, knight takes g3 check, the h-pawn is pinned, and you still can't take with the f-pawn because of the rook, so king back to g1, knight e2 check again, king h1, and rook c3. Black is winning this position, being up a knight. Number 2 was unanimously picked by the entire Chess.com content team. The white pieces are coming for the black king, and many moves keep the advantage here. However, the move played in the game is by far the most spectacular. With a king this open, the smell of check is in the air, and maybe a whiff of mate. Can you find a move to make it happen? Queen c7, a ridiculous move. Similar to Marshall's queen sacrifice, white places the queen on an open square where it can be captured by 3 pieces, and all of the captures lose. Yet, the white queen's intrusion can't be ignored without loss of material or worse. Rook on c takes c7 leads to rook e8 check, queen takes e8, and rook takes e8 mate. Queen takes queen leads to a similar fate, exchanging off the rooks. The best try is knight e5, but after queen takes d8 check, rook on c takes d8, bishop takes b7, rook takes b7, and f4, white is just up a piece. In the game, black played rook on d takes c7, letting white still play rook e8 check, and black resigned here in view of queen takes e8, rook takes e8, rook takes e8, bishop d5 check, rook e6, bishop takes rook, rook f7, bishop takes rook, mate. In the end, our queen meant nothing compared to checkmate. Number 1, Shirov's jaw-dropping bishop sacrifice. The top move on our list will come as little surprise to those who have followed chess for a long time or have seen this move before. It's widely accepted as the single best move of all time. The following opposite-colored bishop endgame was reached after 47, king g1. Now, opposite-colored bishop endgames are known to be notoriously drawish, and despite being up 2 pawns, black's path to victory is not clear. If white can get their king to the center, there will be no way for black to get through and try to promote their pawns. What makes this move even more stupefying is that it's the only way to win in the position. Bishop h3, double exclam. The black bishop was obstructing the king, but to simply give it up, are you kidding me? But we're in the endgame, and it isn't material that matters, it's who queens first. Now white will have to spend a golden tempo recapturing the bishop, thereby allowing black's king to reach e4, then the 2 passers, supported by the king, will be unstoppable. G takes h3, king f5, and now to make matters worse, the f6 pawn is no longer of any importance since both of white's remaining pawns are immobilized by the single black pawn on g6. King f2, king e4, bishop takes f6, there's nothing better. d4, cutting off the bishop from the queening square. Bishop e7, stopping the pawn from advancing. King d3. If white tries king e1, then king c2, bishop b4, d3, and white can't stop both pawns. So in the game, bishop c5, king c4, bishop e7, and king b3. Game over. Black's king will reach c2, one of these pawns will queen, which is all that really mattered.